Have you ever seen those tiny little houses, like model homes that come out during Christmas and they sit on a shelf, and they're really more of like a village? You know, they'll often kind of have this old-timey look to them, and they'll have snow on top, and they look really pretty. And they might be different types of houses. Maybe it's a house, and there's like a post office or a little skating ring, and it's these little model villages. And you look at these little model villages, and you get really a sense of community. Well, in 2 Samuel, we're going to see something really cool happen today. That God is going to ask David to build a house for him, to build a place for him. And David is going to do so. But in doing that, God reveals to David, he says, hey, I'm going to take your house and your desire to build a house for me. I'm going to take your house, your throne, the throne of David, and I'm going to establish it forever. Your house, what comes from you, David, will endure forever. In other words, you're going to have the Messiah. The Messiah is going to come. He's going to be one of your descendants, and he is going to rule and reign forever, just as you rule and reign now. And you can actually see this for yourself if you go and check out Matthew chapter 1, where it goes through the genealogy from Abraham to David all the way down to Joseph, Jesus' father. In other words, the promise that God made to Abraham, the promise that God's making to David as we read 2 Samuel, it comes to pass. It happens. And Matthew's saying it did. Those promises were fulfilled in Jesus. And here's what this means. It all started with a desire to want to build a house for God. But in a desire to want to build a house for God, what God reveals is he says, David, I'm going to use your house to house among the people. Right? And that's a lot of houses, but here's what this means. It means that in Christmas, it was God coming through the house of David to dwell among us, to live among us, which is an incredible thing to think about. That he, in the Gospel of John, it says it this way. It says, the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. Right? That it lived among us, that he moved in and took up residence among us. He lived with us. Right? Which is what David was trying to do for God. He was inviting him in to live with him. And so I'd love you to do two things as you read through 2 Samuel today. First, think about this idea that God desires to want to move into your life and live in your life, and he desires to have a relationship and fellowship with you. But then also challenge yourself to be like David. Are you creating a space for God? Do you have a desire? God has a desire to want to be in your life. Do you have a desire for him to be in your life?